Now, there used to be a time when you could smoke in the office. I'm sure some of you remember that time. There used to be a time when you could simply work 9 to 5. And everything that you did before 9 o'clock and everything that you did after 5 o'clock was personal time. And there also used to be a time when if you had a job that you wanted to fill, you would make the job public, and one by one, you would get potential candidates that would come through your doors one by one and try to convince you why they should work for you. They would talk about the schools that they went to, their wonderful achievements, their accomplishments, the skills that they have, why they are a good fit for you. Now, today, we live in a very different world, and we work in a very different world. You don't smoke in the office anymore. Working 9 to 5 has all but been replaced by this idea of work-life integration. And today, when you have a job that you want to fill, and when you make it public, and when people come through your doors, now they are the ones asking you questions. They're the ones that are asking you now, what is it like to work there? What's the leadership style? What tools and technologies am I going to be using? Am I going to feel a sense of purpose and meaning and impact? And so it's no longer about the candidates trying to convince you why they should work for you. It's about you as an organization trying to convince candidates why they should work for you.
Do you want to hear something really crazy? 96% of the people who watch videos on this channel are not subscribed. Can you do me a favor and help me change that number by subscribing to this YouTube channel? Thank you very much.
And that's a very different way for us to think about work, because we have never had to think like that before. And now we're starting to see a lot of these changes happen, and we're thinking very differently about what it means to work. Now, organizations have traditionally done this in two ways, right? So the way that we always attract and retain people has always been done in two ways. The first thing that we always do is we try to tell a compelling story about our organization, right? We talk about what it's like to work there, a great place to work, managers love you, everything's great, you're going to be doing meaningful work, it's wonderful. And we always tell this wonderful story. We paint this wonderful picture about what it's like to work at our organizations. Now, before I got married, I tried online dating. I won't ask how many people here have tried online dating, but if you have, you'll know that oftentimes the person who shows up to the date and the person whose profile you see online, not the same person. Right? On paper, online, when we build these profiles, we all want to be amazing and wonderful, and then this person shows up to the date and you're like, who the hell are you? Completely different person. And I think the same thing is happening for organizations around the world right now. They're telling this wonderful story, they're painting this beautiful picture, and then employees start working there and they say, who are you? This isn't the same organization that I was told I was going to be a part of. Very different. And now, again, we're starting to see a lot of changes happen. I mean, imagine for a minute if every organization around the world was honest about what it was like to work there. And when people interviewed, and they said, well, tell me what it's like to be a part of your company. Everybody looked at them and said, well, I know it says 40 hours, you'll probably work 60. Managers will probably take credit for your work. I hope you don't mind getting berated on a couple conference calls here and there. You'll likely be sitting in a cube. Technologies are designed in the 80s and 90s. Good luck with that. We have a flexible work program, but if you take advantage of it, all your coworkers and peers are going to think you're an idiot for not showing up to the office. So don't really take advantage of the flex work stuff. You want to work here? Nobody's going to say yes to that. So instead, we paint this wonderful story about all of our organizations. And now, finally, we're at a point in time where that story actually has to be true. It's no longer enough for that to just be a story anymore. The second thing that organizations do is they invest in something known as employee engagement. I'm sure many of you have heard of this concept. Many of you have heard of this idea of employee engagement programs. I like to refer to them as the adrenaline shot of the organization. And the reason why is because on day one, nobody ever starts off working for your organization on day one saying this place sucks. It doesn't happen. Right? On day one, people are genuinely excited to be there, to make an impact, to have a difference. They want to know, what am I going to be working on? Who am I going to be working with? Where am I going to be sitting? Like, people are genuinely jazzed and excited to be there. And then something happens over time where the employee engagement and satisfaction starts to go down. And then right around here, a lot of companies say, you know what? It's time for our annual employee engagement survey. And so they do the survey here, and they find out they scored like a 62. And then they freak out. And then they turn to HR and they say, hey, we want like a 95 on that instead of a 62. Can you get that to go up? And do it quickly, and you don't have a lot of time, and you don't have a lot of money, but we need the 95, please. And a lot of people come together around a room and they say, all right, who's got an idea? How can we get the people that work at our organization to be happier? What can we do? And somebody at the table raises their hand and they say, ooh, I got a brilliant idea. Why don't we give them hot yoga on Tuesdays? And guess what? It works for a little while. And then the same thing happens. And the engagement scores go back down again afterwards. And then somebody else says, all right, what else you got? And somebody says, why don't we give them free food on Fridays? And again, satisfaction, happiness, engagement, all that sort of stuff goes up. And this is essentially what happens in most organizations around the world. This is why we have never spent more time, energy, resources, funding in investing in employee engagement programs, yet around the world, these programs have gone nowhere. In fact, globally, engagement has relatively stayed flat. In many cases, it's even gone down. And on some studies, it's maybe gone up just a little bit, which you would think doesn't make that much sense if we're spending so much time and money and energy and resources into this. That's because this is how most organizations view employee engagement programs. And the reason why this is a problem is because of something known as the hedonic treadmill. Some of you may be familiar with this concept. The hedonic treadmill basically is a theory in psychology that says we as humans adapt. So what happens when you give an employee a wonderful perk, right, the free food thing? It's cool for a while, and then after a couple months, the employees show up and they say, it's expected. What else you got? And then the organization has to scramble again, and they say, well, we've given them free food. These animals want more. Hot yoga, I don't know. They keep wanting more stuff because we adapt. And all these things that you keep throwing at them, these shiny things, these lovely perks and lavish things, we get used to it and we expect it to become standard. And the reason why this is a problem is because it conditions employees to be with your organization for things that they get, not because of value that they contribute, not because of value that they get.